I love Batman. I have watched hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of Batman content, and I am not alone. For over 9 decades, the Caped Crusader has captured the imagination of readers and viewers of comic books, television shows, and movies. What is it about Batman that is just so captivating?
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car.
I'm your host, Jacob. Join us as we figure out what makes Batman, Batman.
Sometimes I ask myself, is Batman just a suit or is he the man inside? Time to find out.
Before we get started, I just want to state that we will not be focusing on his tools that he uses or his particular set of skills, because that would just be too easy. Instead, we're going to look at what makes the character, meaning the motivations and his core value sets. Things like his wealth, his prodigious fighting skills, his title as the world's greatest detectives. Those things are cool and definitely attributes of him, but they tend to wax and wane depending on who's writing him and the story that that writer is trying to tell. But I believe there are 4 specific tenets of Batman that we can use to compare to all the portrayals of him that we'll ever see and determine whether they are true depictions or not. Number 1, Batman is trying to stop one man with a gun. Most of us know the basic Batman story. A family consisting of an 8-year-old boy and his parents walk into a dark alley, the family gets mugged, and the 8-year-old boy becomes an orphan. That is the moment Bruce Wayne stopped being a child and became Batman. His entire life became about assuaging the feelings of guilt, pain, fear, loneliness, and most of all, powerlessness that he felt on that night. More specifically, he wants to make sure that no one else, especially children, ever feel powerless or scared again. I like the way that Red from Overly Sarcastic Productions puts it. If you cannot see your Batman comforting a child in their darkest moment, then it isn't Batman. Being vengeance, not just for himself, but for anyone out there who needs him, is the motivation of Batman in its most clear-cut and perfect form. Batman will do just about anything in service of this motivation. And this has even been played upon in alternate universes where Batman and the rest of the Justice League end up taking martial law over the entire Earth.
Who elected you, anyway? Who elected you? The problem with democracy is, it doesn't keep you very safe. It has other virtues, but you seem to have forgotten them. I didn't forget. I just chose peace and security instead. You grabbed power, and with that power, we've made a world where no 8-year-old boy will ever lose his parents because of some punk with a gun.
How far he goes in these alternate timelines, Batman has one very specific rule. Number 2, Batman doesn't kill. This has been one of the more discussed aspects of his character. When he was originally written, he actually did use guns and did kill people. It wasn't until Batman number 1 in the spring of 1940 when the character stopped killing and using firearms. This is because with the introduction of Robin, children began to become interested in the comic, and parents didn't want them to be exposed to all the ruthless criminal murder. This eventually led editor Whitney Ellsworth to create a policy for all published characters which stated, and I quote, "Heroes should never kill a villain, no matter the depths of his villainy." While this policy has obviously not stuck it out since 1940, Batman still holds to it, and it is important that he continues to do so. This is for 2 very specific reasons. The first, it's an important internal conflict for the character to have. Here's a clip from Batman Under the Red Hood, which perfectly describes why.
You don't understand. I don't think you've ever understood.
What? What, your moral code just won't allow for that? It's too hard to cross that line?
No! God almighty, no! It'd be too damned easy. All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. A day doesn't go by when I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt out to others, and then end him.
Aw, so you do think about me.
But if I do that, If I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back. I can't. I'm sorry.
This sentiment that Batman won't be able to stop killing if he starts has been expressly stated in several comics since 2011 when DC launched the New 52 and then subsequently launched DC Rebirth. This is when people tend to call out the slippery slope logical fallacy. The reason being that just because you do something once does not mean that you will do it again, right? A slippery slope is only slippery if you let it be. While that is technically true, that just because event A happens doesn't mean event B will definitely happen, there is also the foot in the door phenomenon, which does state that if you agree to event A, there is a much greater chance that you will agree with event B, even if B is a much greater ask than A. So while it is true that Batman might be able to kill the Joker and then stop, it is also true that he would be more likely to continue killing since it would be easier for him. This contributes to the second reason Batman doesn't kill. He needs to believe that his villains can be redeemed. Batman is not mentally healthy, at least not fully, and he knows it. As sad as it is, a lot of people lose loved ones to traumatic events, but they don't become masked vigilantes as a result, right? A sane person who had developed proper coping mechanisms and had the wealth of Bruce Wayne might have purchased the crime-ridden areas of Gotham and gentrified them. If he hadn't developed great coping methods, he might have just hired mercenaries to kill the crime lords, or one of 1,000 different things that people with limitless wealth could have done to get justice/vengeance. They wouldn't have dressed up like a bat and beat up criminals as a form of therapy. But if his villains can recover, then it means he might be able to as well. This facet of his personality really comes to light in the comics of the last 10 years or so, but it was also shown quite well in Batman the Animated Series, where he not only celebrated the recovery of one of his villains, but actually hired him. An additional benefit to the no-kill rule is how awesome it makes his fights. If he could kill, it would be a battering to the face and we call it a day, and the fight would be over. Or a 9mm with extra mags and a bunch of dead thugs, and it just wouldn't be interesting. Instead, he has to figure out ways to incapacitate his enemies that don't play by his rules. It makes what he does that much more impressive. The no-kill rule is important, which is why scenes like this, and this are so darn hard to watch. Number 3, Batman is on the side of life. This tenet seems like it should be part of the no-kill one, but there's a very specific difference that needs to be accounted for. Batman is a true hero. It is why he will run into burning buildings without proper equipment to save life, or cut a live cable and electrocute himself in order to prevent that same fate from happening to others. This is separate from the no-kill rule because Batman took no actions whatsoever to bring harm to them. And if he continued to take no action, they would just simply die, but it wouldn't have been his fault. If not killing were the only tenet at play in these scenarios, then they would die and he could go home and presumably get a good night's sleep knowing that they're not going to be a problem moving forward. The issue is that every life is important to Batman, so it would affect him if he doesn't do everything he can to save their life, no matter how villainous they are. Batman not saving Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins runs completely contrary to this tenet. It is also worth mentioning that the reason the train rails collapsed is a direct result of Batman asking Gordon to blow them up, so it would also run contrary to the no-killing rule. Really just a double whammy here. It is saving lives no matter whose life it is that brings him into conflict with Superman during the Injustice storyline, which is one of just the best story arcs ever printed. I highly recommend you go and check that out if you get the chance. Number 4, Batman plays Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne does not play Batman. When you look at heroes like Static Shock or Superman, you see their superhero alter egos. When they put on their uniforms, they are basically putting on their customer service faces and going to work. When they come home and are around their loved ones, they tone it back. They become the regular people that they are. Batman doesn't do that. When you see Batman, you are seeing the real personality. The brooding, intense, paranoid Dark Knight persona is the naturally occurring one. He is that intense all the time, except when he needs to convince the world that he isn't. That is when the Bruce Wayne persona is employed. The suave, confident playboy is the face that Batman puts on to protect his true identity. Bruce Wayne is Batman's mask. This is fully understood and appreciated by the Joker. Joker has discovered that Batman is Bruce Wayne a handful of times in the comics, but it just doesn't matter to him. He knows that when he fights the Dark Knight, he is fighting the real man. And so who that man pretends to be in the public eye just has no consequence on anything that the Joker intends for him. That is our analysis of what makes Batman Batman. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything we've stated here today, or if you think we should have included other things about him. That is what the comment section is for. But before we go, I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. It is such a blessing for you guys to support the channel in this way. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this with your friends if you think that they might like it. Also, just to let you guys know, apparently there is a Batman Day, and it is this coming Tuesday, as of this day's recording. That would be September 13th. So yeah, watch this video, watch a good Batman flick, see what you think. Put our analysis to the test and see if you think that whatever Batman you're watching is a true depiction. We will be back next week with another video, but until then, thank you again, and we will see you next time.